Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Can I tell you a little story about a time recently that I just totally screwed up and what I did about it and what you could do about it too? Because you know what? We all screw up sometimes. I screw up, you'll screw up, and it's also okay. It happens to all of us. So a couple of months ago, it was a Thursday evening. I was just about to shut down for the day, and I saw this one last email come through, and so I thought, oh, I'll go ahead and read it and answer it. And it was a reminder email about a deadline. And usually I'm a little bit annoyed when I receive these kind of emails because I'm like, don't these people know that I'm on top of it? But this time was different. This time I got this email, and as soon as I saw the headline, my face just immediately flushed. I started feeling really, hot, and I was like, oh, this is a telltale sign that I have made a mistake, right? I know this feeling. I've made mistakes before. And so what had happened was, somehow I had agreed to something, and somehow it just didn't make it into my single trusted system. And if I look back and I think about the postmortem on why this happened, I think it's because I was waiting for someone else to do something, and usually when I'm waiting, I put something in my task list. But I just didn't. Like I maybe got distracted momentarily. Who knows? But my system failed me, or I failed my system. And this happens not very often, very rarely, but it did happen in this case. And so I was left with knowing that I had a deadline on some important work that I had promised to someone that was the deadline for tomorrow. I needed to do that the very next day. And I had already planned my day for tomorrow. I had a day full of meetings. I had scheduled work that I needed to do. This was not part of my plan. And so luckily in this case, was able to kind of pivot. I looked at my plan for the next day. I saw that I had a meeting that was more of a networking meeting that could be pushed without consequence. It wasn't going to affect my clients or any of my other work. And so in this case, I was able to push that meeting. Somebody graciously agreed to move it, postpone it. And I was able to schedule in the work, send over the deliverable. I got it done. No one was the wiser other than, me, of course, and now you. And so in this case, it worked out okay. But it doesn't always work out okay. Like what would have happened if, I had just missed the deadline entirely, if nobody had sent me this reminder message and I didn't find out about it till it was too late, or maybe I found out about it earlier enough, but I couldn't actually move anything else. I couldn't change anything. What would I have done? And so in that case, I've been there a couple of times before. In that case, what I would have done is I would have one, take responsibility right away, profusely apologized, let them know what happened, how it happened, and when I was going to be able to get that deliverable. The reason I'm sharing this story, this one worked out okay, but sometimes it doesn't. Oops, there's my meeting, my next meeting coming up, but I'm going to leave that in here. That's the only kind of notification I have is meeting notification. So this is telling me to wrap it up. Why am I telling you this story? Why does this matter? The reason I'm telling you this is because sometimes when I work with people, they think that they're going to be perfect, right? They're striving for perfection. They think that somehow, they're going to learn all the skills and then they are going to be a perfect person. They're never going to struggle with time or tasks or anything again. And you can get really, really good. I think I'm pretty good, but it doesn't mean that you're never going to fail. It doesn't mean you're never going to falter. It doesn't mean you're never going to fall off the wagon. And that's just totally okay. When we look at kind of the cycle of behavior change, the cycle of learning, relapse is part of that. Sometimes we fall off the wagon. And this was kind of it felt big to me, but I admit it was a little bit minor. But sometimes we just completely fall off. We lose track of all of our systems. And then it just feels like we're kind of in despair. It's like, ugh, we failed. And what are we going to do? It didn't work for me. And I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. Part of faltering is how we learn, right? What did I learn from this? I learned I need to be a little bit more diligent. I did a little bit of a postmortem to figure out why that happened. I recommitted to some behaviors and it hasn't happened since, right? But sometimes we have to learn the hard way. And learning the hard way doesn't mean that you have failed irreparably and that you're not meant to be on this path, whatever it is. It just means that you've fallen off and now you need to get back on. And so when I work with people, that's something I want everyone to know. It's not as if they're going to be perfect at the end. In fact, there is no end. We're always getting better. But what I want people to learn is that they have the skills to get back on the wagon when they fall off. And you do too. So if you are finding yourself in a situation where, maybe you had some practices, they were working for a while, but maybe something happened and it's just not working anymore. Or maybe you just completely fell off the wagon. Maybe you got sick or maybe you had a vacation and everything just feels like it's a little bit in shambles. You have the skills and you can learn the skills to get back to where you need to be. Setbacks don't have to be setbacks forever. We all screw up. I screw up. You will screw up. I will screw up again. And it's okay. We can move forward from it. Every single time we learn.
Hey, video editor here. Just want to quickly tell you to subscribe to the channel because, as you can see, only 6% of the people that watch our videos are subscribed. So it would just be a good help on our way to 1K.